My energy is unmatched. I don't get tired, no, I don't get gas. Still working to surpass everybody getting past on my way up fast. So watch out for me now. Everybody in this town will be looking at my crown. I got my knuckles all wrapped. Blood drips from the scabs, bloody fists from the jabs. Do you want to see what you're made of? What if there was no one to save us? Would you leave it all on the pavement? Would you dye the ground with some straight blood? I just want to find out my limits. I'ma put everything in it. I'm in this life to win it. And this is just the beginning. Do you want it bad? Do you want it bad? Do you want it bad? I'll fight till I collapse. I'll fight till I collapse.
All right. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to the ABL podcast, week 12. I'm here with my great friend, Cal. How you doing, man?
Clearly rusty. I had my mute button on. I mean, I'm gone for a week, and war breaks out in the Middle East. It's announced I'm gonna be back on. The second everyone finds out I'm back on, ceasefire. So
Crazy.
I'm pretty excited about all the news breaking out. But yeah, I mean, listen, the only reason I came back on this show was because I went 3-0. I pretty much retired last week.
True.
It was kind of under the rug. I wasn't going to be on until I went 3-0. So thankfully it happened. Thankfully I'm back and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it had absolutely nothing to do with internet in any way, shape, or form.
that
Actually,
was
it was
I think
your decision to not
Yes.
be on the show. Which obviously put me in a very precarious position.
Yes.
So much so that I didn't even have your picture up for last week. So very, very interesting situation. Certainly here in the ABL as well as globally. But
Yeah.
we got an interesting week to talk about. We'll go kind of through our takes from last week. Look at some divisions, some teams winning some games that normally don't. Talk about the league being dead, and then we'll take a look at next week as well. So, with that being said, let's move into kind of our first detailed takes from last week. I'm really hoping, to be honest with you, I honestly thought about starting the show off with this just to make sure he was reeled in, but Alan said he was going to tune in as long as we mentioned the Rockies, and I put a screenshot in there showing how I already had him as my number one point this week, because we got to give the OG podcast leader a nod for getting a great 3-0 week. Rockies, and again, I should mention everyone as well, Dylan let me know he did not have his laptop to do the updates today, so the updates on the power rankings are not updated currently, just as an FYI. Cal and I are just going to kind of use them for reference a little bit, but yeah, he has a 3-0 week. Standings-wise, I don't know if it made that much of a bump. He's still 8 games back of San Diego. He's got a big hill to climb if he wants to even try and make the playoffs. But potentially power rankings-wise, I mean, he was down at 24. There's a decent chance he maybe jumps up into those upper 20s. But yeah, thoughts on Colorado?
Huge. But listen, if you're going to buy, you got to be 12 and 24. You can't be 13 and 23. It's not gonna cut it in this league, So I would pretty much take my ball and go home at this point. It's
True.
just too little, too late.
True.
True.
As someone
3-0 is 3-0.
As someone with personal experience, right?
Yes, absolutely. 3-0 is 3-0. So yeah, huge week for the Rockies.
Awesome. How about you on your first take of the week?
I have to say I'm really struggling. I'll tell you why. Because this is the first week out of all the weeks we've been doing this that I actually decided to do power ranked based takes, and they're completely useless. So I'm kind of hosed. But I will say, who's going to stop the Cardinals is my first take.
Yeah.
It's a weekly onslaught.
Wild week.
And I don't know. I think I mentioned the Nationals kind of. I think we had mentioned that they were at least scoring a little bit lower on the week-by-week averages.
Mm-hmm.
And this week was a big showcase of that. I know we probably talk about that a little more in your detailed takes.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they had more losses last week than they've had all year is a pretty stark contrast to kind of what we've seen. And I don't know. I actually wanted to pull up just like their points in general, because they have. Let's see. How do I got to get to all here? No, it's combined. I think is what shows all of it. From a points perspective, they're still the number one scoring team in the league, and by a healthy margin. They have 500 points on Jeff and St. Louis. So I think it's a little too early probably to, say that maybe Washington isn't this juggernaut we thought they were, blah, blah, blah. But it'll be interesting to see, right?
Since the dump, I haven't looked at it, but I think since the dump, St. Louis on average might have been blowing them out of the water.
True.
This week for sure would show it. I mean, if we're going off average.
Well, and that goes to show how important having assets to move. And I think the important piece to point out here is pieces to move regardless of what position you're in, right? Mm-hmm. Like whether you want to be you and have pieces to move to try and compete, or you want to be someone like me who is clearly out of it and wants to have pieces to move to gain other pieces, right? Or maybe you're somewhere in the middle of that too. And I think that may be biting Washington in the ass here, because they didn't have as much to move, especially from a minors and pick perspective, like St. Louis did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to discount them at all. Still a juggernaut, but they're not the runaway train that I think. Because even the Phillies putting up huge weeks.
Yep.
So I don't think it's as daunting of an NL sweep coming up here that we thought it was going to be. Before the dump date. So we'll see how it plays out. But I'm liking the NL getting shaken up a little bit. Yeah,
playoffs will be very interesting. At least I think on the National League side, certainly on the AL as well. But I think NL is going to be the most intriguing matchups to watch, maybe. I did want to actually point out, and I know you said the power rankings are kind of useless, but the one thing I did kind of want to point out is just, and I mentioned it a little bit with the Rockies, is some teams that we sort of talked about maybe moving based on their weeks, etc. You obviously had a good week. Record-wise, at least, points-wise, it was pretty decent as well. Obviously, but the wins matter too. So you very easily could be bumped up. Tampa, I think as well would move, and then I think Dylan went 3-0 too, didn't he?
I believe. Well, no.
Oh wait, no, he didn't.
He lost the Tigers.
Yeah. So, he went 2-1. So, but even him, I mean, he's sitting, top 10 right now, so he's got a shot, too. So, just some interesting teams to look at from a power ranking perspective. And then for me, the last piece I just wanted to touch on was kind of going back to the NL Central. We had initially talked about early on. You go back to the week 1 through 5 podcasts. Probably you and I had talked about how there were really kind of 4 divisions in the league in general that were kind of dominating, so to speak, early on. And I think we have slowly but surely whittled that down to the point where I think it is very clear the NL Central is by far and away the best division. I don't think that's debatable in any capacity. And then the NL East is probably second, I would argue, followed by the AL Central. And I think even the AL Central now that Tom's at 500, which is way lower than where he was before. I think really it's a two-person race there. So I look at the NL and I say, man, you get 4 ridiculous NL Central teams in the playoffs. You get 2 really good and 1 pretty good NL East team in the playoffs. There's again 1 spot left out west essentially. And to give Greg credit, Padres have been playing better. Playing better.
I don't know if the bindings helped or not, but
hard to know. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, it's really kind of those teams. It feels like. But
if you have to pick your opponent, who do you pick? That sucks. That's a crappy job to be in. I wouldn't even want to win my division and just try to stay out of it.
Well, I mean, I think about like the NL Central teams, like assuming Jeff pulls it off based on how his team has played, right? Like if you're Duke, Frank, and Zach, like there's a good chance 2 of those teams are going to be playing each other in the first round.
Yeah.
which is
Feels a little
wild.
unfair.
that feels awful, right?
Yeah.
But I also will say that's not to say that like because obviously we're assuming Washington's going to pull out in the East, right? You look at Adam, I feel the same way about his team, right?
Yeah.
And even Aiden in Atlanta, like they're 23-13. Like
I would argue to say the East is not a lock.
Yeah.
The
True,
Phillies are playing
true.
Good ball.
At
So,
this point, yeah.
It seemed like it a good while ago, but I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a bit of a stumble for the Nats that I don't think was possible prior. If you told me that was going to happen, I would not have believed you. So,
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was just a rough week for the Nats. I would assume so. They've been pretty consistent all year. But again, Phillies will put it on to kind of show, hey, like we'll make a run at it here.
Yeah.
And they haven't really bought yet either. I feel like Adam's lurking around for that kind of late deal.
Yep.
So maybe he makes a push to the deadline and he gets even better. I don't know.
Well, and we have how many weeks until the deadline? Is it week 17, or is it before that?
I think that feels right. I feel like Adam's been putting like reminders in the chat. I don't remember.
Let's see if I have. Here we go. I'm just gonna pull up the Constitution. We're gonna find it.
Yes.
Because I haven't looked in forever. It's under transactions, I think. Trades, probably. I don't know.
I mean,
or no, it's probably under important dates.
Just trade now.
Yeah, true. I mean, that'd be even better. I would love that.
Don't even need a deadline because then we can actually fill up our segment about transactions. We have nothing here because you guys won't do anything.
Here we go. Trade deadline. Trade deadline is at 10 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, 3 weeks prior to the ABL playoff. So it would be, so the end of week 17, the Sunday of week 17, and it's week 12 now, right?
Yeah, we just started 13.
So, or we just started 13, yeah. So we have we'll have All-Star break in there too. So technically it'll be 5 real life weeks.
Yeah.
Right? Because isn't that's a 2
more
week
than enough time to decide
period,
what
I believe.
You want to do.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think it'll be interesting. I certainly still have, as a dumping team, I certainly still have good pieces that I can move to contenders. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening, if there's any other big names moved or not. But
yeah.
I think that any other takes, anything else you wanted to chat about before we move on to talking about how dead this league is?
Exactly. I know. I want to get to this deadness.
So yeah, I guess it's a good kind of a good transition to the non-existent transactions this week. Not trade block. What am I doing here? From the trade perspective, I mean, we had a third round pick traded for $3 fab and a fourth round pick. That is about as spicy as it gets.
Yeah.
And then, from an ad drop perspective, I mean, there's just not even anything worth talking about, I guess.
I didn't get to talk about this in the last pod, but I cut a prospect. That prospect was then claimed on waivers, then dropped, and then claimed on waivers again by a different team.
Hell yeah.
That's how dead we are.
Hell yeah, man. That's crazy.
Think fab, it's just kind of
claims.
Floating,
just claims.
Just floating as far as you can with whatever you got left.
Well, and so I'm looking at fab numbers here. So let's see how this is the number of teams below $10 remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 of 30 teams. So almost half of the league has $10 or less. And if you make that 15 or less, you add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You had 5 more teams.
Defense is $38, fab.
I mean, he hasn't done anything all year. Let's be honest.
I know, but how do you get a surplus of fab and then not use it?
Because he checks the lineup every day and then logs out, right?
Well, good enough, I guess.
Yeah.
$38 is a tough one to swallow.
Is what it is, man. I'll tell you what. I'd love to have that right about now. As someone trying to fill a lineup, man.
Yes, I think you can get a lot for that $38.
So I think it's interesting to kind of see that. I'm curious. Like, even Dylan sitting at 25. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to move that. John's got $22. I mean, I know Evan's probably not looking to move fab at all, but he's got 20. But then, I mean, Gary, Yankees, he's got 32. That's not super surprising, right?
Evan not burning his fab on specs at this point in the season is a little bit surprising, but I guess, I mean, they can't all be Grant Taylor's getting called up every, the second they get drafted.
Well,
I get it.
And I mean, to be honest, he's probably waiting to see a little bit more from guys, especially some of the guys
Baseball
who
America
are,
report
who are just getting over here, and
Yeah.
you can always, as Steve would love to say, always be prospecting, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
So I think that's probably part of Evan's strategy, I would imagine. But I would also say too, there could be a part of it where he knows some of us are going to want Fab for sure, and might just be holding it for trade deadline bait, so to speak. I think I'll be looking in any deal that I make. I'll be looking to see if I can get a little bit of Fab back in return somehow. Because that'll
we got
really help
lots
me.
of prospectors in this league. We got a lot of stinky Pete's running around. So
100%.
I'm surprised that there has not been just an influx of Fab getting spent on just 17-year-olds.
I would, dude. There's like 7 guys out there right now that I have on my watch list that I wish I could add to my roster, and I can't. I have $2.
I thought that's what the transaction list was going to be about. It was going to be about the random deal that's been up.
It'd be great.
But no Fab.
It'd be great, but yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I certainly think it. The lack of it has toned down the league, which I know we've talked ad nauseum about, but who knows?
Yeah,
maybe
I think it's fine. There's enough Fab out there to go get. Clearly, it forces some type of a movement. I get it.
Yep.
But I mean, I got to move it. That $38 can happen. We got to move that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to.
It's bothering me. The screen, it sticks out.
Well, realistically, right? Like everything should be spent. Like end of the year, like if
you
we're
don't get it back.
Yeah, if we're doing it right, it should be spent in some capacity, right? Either you're sending it to someone for something, or you're spending all of it, right? I mean, and again, you don't need to just spend it on anything, but I certainly think there's plenty of options for teams like myself to go pick guys up, and plenty of options for teams that have Fab to trade. I mean, Christ, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks next year. I got 6 picks the next year. I got 6 picks. And I'm more than happy, you know what I mean, to trade a couple of those picks to get me some Fab to try and win a couple more games this year. That's more than happy to do that. But anyway, anything else? League's dead. That's all we really had to say.
League's dead. So, I mean, just wait it out, I guess.
Make it undead, people. Make it undead.
Get her going.
Okay, so let's go to next week's preview then. We got this, honestly, I don't know about you as I'm pulling this up here. You maybe give your opinion on this, but this is one of the spicier weeks I feel like we've had in a while. Like I had more games to choose from than normal. Like usually I'm like, okay, my third game is like a stretch, right? Of talking about a kind of matchup. This week I had to I won't spoil it, but your second one I actually had in my list and deleted it because I found something that I liked better that I wanted to talk about, which is again not normal. So why don't you kick us off? What's the matchup to watch this week?
The one that wasn't good enough for your list, I guess. The scraps that I was able to pick up off the floor was the Royals and Phillies game. Look, both of these teams, they're trying to take over a division lead. I'd say the Royals are a little bit more in a spot to take one over.
Yep.
And I would say, let's see, because Tigers have a tough schedule this week. So
yep.
It's not a guaranteed 3-0 for them. So if Royals can capitalize, this is the game to bet on. They would have to take this Phillies win in order to launch over the Tigers this week. So that's one to watch for me. And of course, Phillies need it because they're hunting down the Nationals, and any game like this helps. So I think that's for me my one to watch.
Okay, yeah. I mean, for me, I'm actually similar kind of concept, but teams that are a little lower on the pecking order, maybe. Seattle versus San Diego. Josh, I think, is tied with. He's either tied or he's a game or two back. I can't remember what it is. Out west, so he's obviously looking to make up ground. But Greg, who has really kind of surged since, I know he made a couple of trades since the dump deadline, but I think that could be a really good matchup and potentially really telling of two maybe lower end possible division winners. I think that could be a really good matchup to watch.
And I'll piggyback off of that with another Mariners matchup. I think this one's it's more fun for me to watch anyway. The Mariners and Rangers. So it's a little interdivision mix here. But the main thing to look at is that Oakland has a cupcake ahead of them.
Yes.
So they should go 3-0. But while these two are battling out, that's going to be an extra game that Dylan gets to distance between either one of these teams. Rangers are trying to track down the Mariners. Mariners trying to track down the Athletics. So I mean, there's a lot kind of on the line for this week. You gotta make your licks in here, because it's not like not a lot more games within the division.
Yeah, when it's interesting because even we probably could have thrown Josh's other game on here as well. He's playing the Giants in his third game. So again, Rourke has kind of sold and isn't necessarily pushing for the playoffs, but those are 3 relatively evenly matched games, right? Mm-hmm. So Josh has an opportunity here, especially with Oakland probably going 3-0. He's got a good opportunity to at least keep up with that, right? In what would be considered maybe a middle of the road, closer to upper tier type of week. So big opportunity for Josh. My other 2, I'll save yours for last, because that's our game of the week for sure. But the last 2 that I want to talk about, 2 massive heavyweight matchups this week. We have the Cubs against the Cardinals. Will be really interesting. Frank, we talked about Frank, or I guess I talked about Frank a little bit last week, and talked about how his team, really chugging on all cylinders right now. He was up to 4th in the power rankings, like going nuts, right? And now hitting kind of what everyone would probably say is the juggernaut in the league currently in St. Louis. So that'll be an awesome matchup. And then the last one, which probably if we would have done like a mid-year World Series pick'em type deal, I probably would have given these 2 teams the best odds in their respective divisions. We have Detroit going up against the Nationals, so potentially a future World Series matchup, certainly possible. But those are kind of the two biggest ones I think for me this week. But let's get to our game of the week. Which is
Angels versus Rays. Of course. How could it not be?
Obviously.
The nasty opponent, Kevin. It's time to take him down. Time to give him what for. I've been getting a lot of smack from this lad.
A lot.
I think it's time to put the cards on the table here and see what we got.
This is crazy, man.
It's not really fair, because I definitely bought too much and he dumped everything. So, however, I am trying to track him down in the standings. So this does mean a lot to me.
Yep.
I'm trying to track him and the Guardians down. So either one of those I'll be happy to get a win on. But this week, I gotta get that dub right now. I mean, this is huge. This is everything.
Well, I'm looking to see you. Yeah, you don't play him the rest. I don't know if you've played him earlier in the year or not, but you don't. Or wait, this is you. You don't play him again. So this is kind of last matchup of the year. Bragging rights, literally for 10 months almost. So yeah, big matchup. I will be very excited to see how the podcast starts next week after what happens.
It's not even anything to really write home about. First of all, it's Kevin's crappy team, so it's not really
true.
I did it. So I'm not going to be gloating around, but it's going to be nice to at least kind of just shift the balance a little bit and try to get into that final wild card spot, which is all I'm really hoping for. It's all I've been doing, trying to get in that spot. So
correct.
Yeah, this is the week.
Yeah, and I mean, you have a pretty tough schedule with Kansas City with one of your games as well, obviously, and then Frank in Miami, not the best team in the world, but certainly at least competitive, right? So I mean, beating Tampa would be a good start. So
yeah, definitely.
Alrighty. Well, anything else you got for this week?
Nope, that's everything.
Okay, yeah, it's everything from my end as well. So hope everyone is having a good week, staying cool. I don't know about everyone else, but we had like 110 degree temps this past weekend, so that was a lot of fun to deal with. But other than that, stay cool, stay classy, and we'll talk to everyone next week. See y'all later.
See you.
Till I collapse, I've been moving too fast. Got my foot up on the gas, full throttle till I crash. I'm back with a vengeance. You gon' see me end this. I will be ascending. I don't ever slack. I got my eyes on a prize. What I see for my life, I don't float, no, I fly. Do or die. 'Cause you gotta do or die. There ain't no compromise. Get ready for a fight. Do you wanna see what you're made of? What if there was no one to save us? Would you leave it all on the pavement? Would you dive the ground with some straight blood? I just wanna find out my limits.